Israel, Belarus, Estonia. Another day, another 3 rehearsals at Eurovision 2018. If you did not hear that through our very clear vocal, we're going to talk about Israel, Belarus, and Estonia. Should we do this? Let's do this! Yes, kicking this round off, it's Israel. The pre-contest favorite remains the bookies' favorite. After the first rehearsal, the press stopped talking about her. For 2 or 3 days, we've not really discussed Netta. There's been no buzz, let's just keep it real. Because the performance felt a little flat, but they've nipped, they've tucked, they've listened to what people are saying, and this is much, much stronger now. Much, much stronger. They don't pan out as needlessly as much. In the first rehearsal, I felt like she was disappearing. When she is the star of this, that charisma, those facial expressions, that voice, she's in much sharper focus. There are more playful elements. Her kind of vocal looper, which isn't a vocal looper, shows the words hey in bright colors. There's an aerial shot and you can read it. When the camera does pan out, it actually works. The lighting scheme is better. It's arresting and interesting as opposed to just showing off the stage. The choreography of the dancers has changed a little bit, as have the camera angles. They're just more on point and funky and fresh. At times, I felt like the vocals weren't mixing as well, but that's a very small thing. Maybe it was just the mixing on the tape that we heard. Long story short, this has improved greatly. She told us in an interview afterwards that she was really happy with the changes and she's feeling confident as well. So that is lovely to hear.
Yeah, like you'd said it before in our first reaction, that Netta is the star of the show and Netta needs to be center stage.
Yes.
And they've taken that on board and they have the shots and we're seeing her facial expressions, because it's her wonderful facial expressions that are a key part to the video being the success that it is. And then the better camera shots have allowed us to see the more playful elements, like you said, the hey on the keyboard. It's slicker. We don't have Doran Medallion on stage guiding her around the place. And yeah, the dancers seem to be more in sync, and I think everyone is generally more comfortable. And it is a much better performance, and it feels like a top 10 performance. I'm not sure if it feels like a Eurovision winning performance though.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's definitely upped the game considerably, but it's still not a winner performance, and that's the thing. I think that there is a lot of improvement, but I still think that the final shot, she kind of ends up having to come off stage, and then there's a while before she gets into the middle of the catwalk, and it just kind of drops everything, because they're either using shots of the backing dancers in the dark or the crowd, and at the very end of a Eurovision song, that's not really what you want, unless maybe when the crowd is going wild in the actual night, that will help. But as it is, I think that's the problem. But the intro is a lot better. There was some weirdness going on. She was playing around with her vocals in the live recording bit on the looper, or it was the backing vocalist. We're not entirely sure what's going on there. There was something a bit funny, but yeah, it was obviously a marked improvement, and she is moving herself right back up. I think she's definitely going to qualify now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's still not quite where everybody wants it to be. But again, it's still, they fixed things, whereas Francesco Gabbani last year didn't fix anything that needed fixing. So they are working. They will get this right, I think. But it's how much do they get right?
Yeah, something in the middle feels flat to me. I don't know what it is, but the intro is great, I'm in it, and then the chorus hits in the midsection, it just feels a little flat. And it reminds me of the Francesco Gabbani performance where things just got flat all of a sudden, and I don't know what it is. I don't think it's the music, I think it's the way it's being presented. But they will no doubt be in the drawing room continuing to refine. In any case, next up was Belarus. Alekseev, you know what, if it's not broke, don't fix it. People are still saying WTF, and they want people to say WTF, and so I'm gonna say, what the, right now? This is still out there crazy. There was one little mishap, actually, where we saw him handing the rose to the cameraman, but obviously that won't happen in the live show, or at least we hope not. The gore on the back is more visible. I think he literally turns around and shows the audience now in the arena. So they're highlighting, you know, the WTF aspect of this. This is, I have a feeling this is definitely going through. It's so memorable and so different and so funky and so gory and so bloody. It's like the running of the bulls at Halloween. You know what I mean? It's like dress up, it's a little raw, it's a little raucous, it's very memorable.
Yeah, like you said, there's nothing that needed to be changed, and the main thing was that they went in on the guts in greater detail.
Yeah.
But one thing, if you are going to go in the guts, in greater detail. Just from being a perfectionist to have it perfect, they need to get the skin tone right, because his back is slightly different colour shade than his hands, because it's obviously not his real back cut open with all the guts. Yeah, but aside from that, it was as wonderfully chaotic and barmy as the first time we saw it, and the dancer danced wonderfully. He wore the rose through his hand wonderfully. His vocals were good as well. I don't think they were as strong as the first time we heard them, but they were definitely nowhere near the Belarusian national final performance. They were well above that, but like, Alekseev knows he's onto a good thing, and why change it?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't get as strong a reaction in the press room, but again, we've already seen that kind of slight gag in a way 3 times, and gag in literally every way, depending on who's watching. I think that, yeah, he's so far up to his game that he has still remaining in that qualifier discussion. And I think, you know, I would really want to see this in the final, just so that a wider audience can see it, not just the semi-final. There was another point I was going to make, but I can't remember it, so maybe it will come back to me. But yeah, I thought it was still just as good. And that's it. The graphic where the roses sort of burst out of him. Everybody else's graphics kind of looked a little bit more expensive today, so particularly like Lithuania's looked better.
Yes.
His looked a little cheap still, and that's a little concern, because they just kind of look like it's I can't really describe it. You'll see when you see the actual video and the performance, but it just looked a little cheap still, so that's the one dragging down point, but it doesn't look as bad as it did on whatever day we first saw him. Sunday. It's been a long day.
OMG, Estonia. Look, this song looks expensive. This staging is classy. There wasn't that much to change in the sense that she's standing in place, right? So you don't have to have that many different camera angles, but I do think what they did do was more effective. The dress, there's a certain shot where the dress goes white and the camera's kind of down, like looking straight on, and there's like a swirl effect where it's just really magical. I don't know how to describe it. You have to see this. The dress looked bigger to me. I don't know, it just looked more imposing. She sounded great as ever. She told me in our interview afterwards, which you can watch on the wiwibloggs YouTube channel, that it's just effortless. She can just sing. Like, she doesn't feel stressed. She doesn't feel strain in her voice. Like, her head's not going to explode when she's singing. She is engaged, y'all, and she has a rock, a big old rock, and she tells me when she sings, she's thinking of her fiance. That is love. It's just really nice. I just think this is so classy, and obviously she's an opera diva, but because, I just attacked you with my fingernails. It's not cheesy like Milena Ernman. It's not boring like Amori Vasili. It's engaging, elegant, and classy. And before I was like, who gonna vote for this? Who gonna vote for this? But I think a lot of people will vote for this because it's mesmerizing. You know, we overuse these words, mesmerizing. This is mesmerizing. When she starts, I'm like, damn, girl, she can sing. She can really sing. So all I have to say is, congratulations.
Yeah, and it's amazing the things she can do with her voice, because her performance, I don't think I need to say anything more about her performance. She has it off to a T. Nothing else needs to be done. But then afterwards, she came into the press center and she came and did this impromptu opera performance, and her vocals were completely on point, and they were just so, like, you were kind of thinking, like, is this a human singing?
Yeah.
Like, they were just so perfect. And this was after she'd done 3 or 4 takes of her own performance, and presumably she would have been rehearsing backstage before she went on stage. And her vocal, it was as if she was just gotten up out of bed and was first thing in the morning, and like no tiredness at all. And it's just amazing what she can do.
She might be winning me over a little bit. Slightly Salvador Sobral-esque, this. You know what? I still think that the dress is a little superfluous in a way, because actually you could just have her doing that, and she's so beautiful that I think you could just get away with her just being the opera diva, just center stage, nice lighting, and just do it that way. But regardless, it's just effortless, and she's funny as well. Again, when she came into the press room and did this little impromptu thing, it was a funny performance, like she was a robot and she broke down at one point and then came back to life, and
theatrical.
It just sells it. And I don't know, I'm never going to be a fan of opera, but it's by far, I think, the best opera, and that and Grande Amore are the best opera songs we've ever had, or popera, or anything like that at Eurovision. Or at least she's the best performer. Maybe not the song, I don't know. But all I know is, if there is one definite 100% qualifier, the number one on that list for this semi-final would be Estonia.
Yeah.
Whether or not, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but there is no way that people will not respect and vote for that. It's just a fact at the end of the day. It's the same with Norway in semi-final too.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. This is just so magical, you guys. I was watching that 30-second clip. I watched it about 9 times. That was 3 minutes because I wanted the full song again. It's so good. I'm still thinking about the colors, the sound. She's also a really nice person. Be sure to watch her interview. She's funny. She's got personality because I think sometimes people perceived her because she's so poised, maybe a little cold. She's not cold. She's warm and she's lovely. In any case, that is what we think. What do you think? Who in this set impressed you the most? Who do you think is qualifying? Who do you say yay, slay, and nay to? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell.
And make sure to hit that like button.
And we'll see you later.
Bye.